it's like speed, right? Yeah. So I had to get faster, and I was like, all right, I know how to get stronger, but I gotta get faster. So then I'm looking at like ways to get faster, whether it be, sled sprints and hill sprints and things like that. Then we go, what if we ran up these stadium stairs? Yeah. So we started running stadium stairs, and guys got faster. I got faster.
This is still freshman year?
This is sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah, sophomore year. Because I was like, all right, now I gotta make the transition. Because now I started as a sophomore in varsity. Yeah. Well, they moved me up to varsity in freshman year.
What position do you play?
I played outside linebacker, and then I played inside linebacker, and then I played strong safety. Okay. So they moved me around a lot.
Yeah.
When I got faster, I played like strong safety and then a will, and I would just kind of go back and forth. And then, so with that, I was like, all right, now I knew that I needed to go ahead and figure out ways to improve, but I was also like, all right, I want to make it to the next level for myself. And the problem was I wasn't getting any taller. Right. I was fucking 5'8". I think I'm 5'7" now. I think I got shorter.
I think you're like 5'9.5", dog.
See, that's why I keep him around.
This is why he keeps me around right here, dude.
I don't stand next to Gabe.
Yeah, nobody should stand next to Gabe.
For real.
I'm really not that tall in comparison to some of these guys.
No, for real. And like when I went to school, so after it all said and done, so there's a big gap there. I remember going on Dave Tate's podcast, and he was like, "There's a big gap here," and I was like, "Yeah, because I went to jail." Remember that?
Yeah, I went to jail. It's a period of time.
Really? Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So at 16, mind you, I went to Northeast High School, so I was in this area from North Lauderdale to Oakland Park. You guys, if you know the area.
You're from Georgia, right?
Yeah, so I'm not really...
Yeah, I know where you're
I trained down that way, but not...
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, it's one of the... That, Lauderdale, like these areas in Broward are bad, right? I'm not saying I'm a product of my environment. I don't like to say that. Like, you have your own choices, you walk your own path. But at the same time, I was still trying to make money. And I didn't want to take money from my parents. I knew they weren't making any money. So I'm like, all right, I got to figure it out. Because I just want new shoes, right? I want to have a car at 16. I want to be able to go to movies, right? Like, shit like that. And so I'm like, all right, the best way I know how to do it, I seen guys making thousands of dollars a week just selling weed and selling X and all these other shit. And I go, okay, I'm gonna do that. Why not? But so I had led this life. I was like fighter, football player, and drug dealer. And it was like the dichotomy of that, right? And so I look at it and I go, well, if I just do this on the side, I can make some money, but I'm still focused on football. I was leading two different lives, didn't even know it. Yeah. Right. So I had one foot in, one foot out. Yeah. I was playing around with my life, didn't even know it. And it got to a point where I obviously got into trouble, and I was facing 60 years in prison.
6-0?
6-0.
Oh,
I got two counts,
bro.
Right? 2 counts. So what ended up happening was there was some drug dealers around the area that were selling weed in my area. So me and my boy were like, you're not gonna do that. So we decided we're gonna rob them for their weed, right? This is how it goes. Listen. So we go. I think I watched Menace to Society.
Yeah, I'm about to say, he about to pull out like a Ricky.
I pulled it. I was like, no, let me get hyped up for this motherfucker.
Right.
So
you got the music playing in the whip. You're like, this shit's about to go down.
I did have Dayton's. I did have the Dayton's. Did have them, and it's funny because drug money allowed me to buy my first car.
Right.
So,
which is the paradox of that is so crazy in itself.
Insane.
It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. So we'll fast forward a little bit after that. So how much time we got? Anyway, I don't know, a little bit. So all right. So now, anyways, got in trouble. The kid pressed charges because I stole their cell phones because I didn't want them to call.
Another drug dealer.
Another drug dealer. The other drug dealer didn't want to press charges, so they were like, all right, you're good. But at the time, right, Broward's coming down hard on first-time offenders, and especially with an armed robbery charge. Right? So now they're coming down hard on everybody. So they're like, we're going to hit you, we're going to try to put you under the jail. Right? So now, 60 years, right? And then I'm sitting in the county jail. Well, first of all, I was in a detention center for 21 days, got direct filed as an adult. So now I'm sitting in the county jail.
Guys, today's podcast of Off-Season is sponsored by 10 Performance Supplements. Everything that I give my athletes is 10 Performance. It is the leanest and cleanest stuff on the market. You're not going to run the risk of flow agents. You're not going to run the risk of preservatives or GMOs. I'm always giving them the protein powder. The second thing on that list a key ingredient that I give to all my athletes. And the last thing, all right, is the Pro Hydrate. Extra form of hydration is getting down to a cellular level. So guys, if you are trying to be a big specimen, be stronger, faster in any sport, and you want to look like this guy, get on your 10 performance supplements now.
Well, as a 16-year-old, right,
Damn,
awaiting trial, right, or figuring out how I'm going to get out of this situation. And so my bail was $100,000. So at that point, I didn't have money.
At 16.
Bail was $100,000. I had a little bit of money left over. So 10% go to the bondsman. So I get $10K, I'm out. Waiting trial, right? So they gathered up all the information. They found out that this guy, they were drug dealers, and that they didn't have any other evidence other than hearsay of what, there was nobody that said seen anything, nothing, no witnesses, nothing. And either way, so after that they go, well, we see you got an upside. We see all these, because at that point I was getting recruiting letters from Clemson, Michigan State, Rutgers.
So they're saying they're like, this guy's got a life.
He's got a life. Was it not Super 11, but it was something else, Sweet 16 or something like that. So I was highly recruited. They saw that I was highly recruited as a junior going into my senior year.
Yeah.
And then, so they're like, you know what? Student resource officer actually vouched for me too. So like, you know what? All right, listen, this is what we're gonna do, and you better not fuck this up. I'll give you 5 years probation, some restitution, but if you fuck up, you're gone. You're gone for the entire duration.
Right.
So at that point, I had to drop out of school, because when you go to jail, you had to drop out of school.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm still doing my classes. I had to go into a drop-in program for a week with all these other motherfuckers that they didn't know what they wanted to do. Transition, switch schools, went to Deerfield Beach High School, where I played with Jason Pierre-Paul and the rest of those guys.
Dogs,
Right. It was a solid team. That year before, they went to states and lost to Northwestern, Miami Northwestern. So I was like, cool, I'm going to a good school. Like, they're focused on football, because in Northeast, we was all drug dealers on the team.
Right.
Like,
we were all doing it.
Like, everybody was doing something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In Deerfield, it was like, oh, there's actually athletes that are going to make it to the next level.
Right.
Mind you, I just got out of jail, right? So I got a mouthful of goals, right? Tatted up.
Nice.
And I still have the mentality of like, don't fuck with me. And Nick.
Yeah.
Nick was on my team.
Okay.
Nobody could talk to me at
Nick's
that
the guy that was doing all the psych shit with you, catching the ball.
Okay,
and nobody could talk to me, right? I was just like, I was eating my meal, like I was like still locked up and everything else. So I didn't have great communication skills from that. And at that time, though, I knew that I still needed to be a leader. Right? I was going back to a new team, so I had to like kind of state the dominance there. Got into a few fights, got the respect, and then, fast forward, all the other schools left. They were like, fuck this, they're not gonna deal with that, right? So HBCU came calling. And Alabama State was the one. So went to Alabama State for a little bit, went to Montgomery, Alabama.
Bro, this man's life is a movie, bro. This is fucking crazy.
Oh, you
I'm not even gonna say like, bro, what?
So I waited for
You
him
knew
to say
all
it.
this?
Yes, dude.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm there, and it's a culture shock too, right? You go from South Florida to Montgomery, Alabama. Right. I'm at a HBCU.
Yeah.
Right. Now I'm used to diversity. I live in South Florida.
Yeah.
Right. So mind you, I stuck out like a sore thumb, obviously.
Really? No kidding.
Right? Me and the kicker were white.
Hey, bro, what?
You and Paul over there are like, hey, dude, let's go.
And mind you, like, and there's like there's always gonna be like a group of Floridians on the team.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we were the only ones, and most of the guys were either from Miami, Broward, or Tampa, and we kind of stuck together. But I just didn't feel at home. I didn't feel it placed there. I hated every minute of it.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I got to do something to alleviate this tension. I want to go back to fighting. So there was a boxing gym nearby. It was a hole in the walls at a house, right by the school, and we're in the hood in the school. Nice. So you go outside, and and it was legit traditional like old school boxing gym owned by, shit you not, this guy had no house. It was his home.
Right.
The boxing gym was his home. He didn't have
insane
anywhere to live. You would see him push a cart throughout the day. because that's what all his belongings, that's all his stuff he had.
Wow.
He'd go to the gym and he'd train these kids. And so I'm like about 198 pounds at this point, right? And I'm like, I want to box, but I can't box because at that point NCAA wasn't gonna allow that.
Yeah.
Right? So I would do like amateur fights on an alias name. It'd be like Michael's Thomas and shit. Like, it would be like, right? Yeah.
I didn't know
So
this.
let me get this straight.
This.
You're at school.
Yeah.
For football.
Yeah. But I'm boxing.
But
On
you're
scholarship.
boxing under an alias.
Yeah. So I'm boxing, right? And I remember the first sparring match I had was against a cruiserweight, and I hit him with an overhand, and I almost knocked him through the ropes. And they were like, "What the fuck? What?" So I go, "Oh shit, I can still crack. I'm good."
Oh my gosh.
Now at this point, I'm like, I'm not really getting along with my teammates, right? The only people I'm really kicking it with are like the Floridians.
Yeah.
To a degree, and they're kind of, it was whatever. But then my family moved from South Florida to Port St. Lucie, small area, because times were getting even rougher, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So then my mother developed lupus, which is an autoimmune disease. So she was like, health was a big issue. My father had got to a bad car accident, was like almost damn near wheelchair bound. So they both couldn't work. So there's no money coming in. They're broke, right? They're calling me. And I'm stuck up there, hating it. Can't get a job.
Can't make money, really.
Can't make money.
Right.
I even tried to like get a job at a GNC, and they wouldn't let me.
Wow.
Damn.
And
dude.
I told my coach, I said, listen, I remember it was after we played UAB, and I didn't play. I was injured. I was getting pinched nerves because I was just a gunner on the kickoff team, just fucking killing myself. I was getting pinched nerves, and I couldn't feel my fingers. This still goes on to this day. And had herniations in C4 through C7, concussions, and they sat me out that week. And then I would tell you this because obviously I'm very transparent. My roommate was smoking in the hotel, the DoubleTree, and then they got complaints that they were smoking. Mind you, three of my teammates were smoking in the damn thing. When we get back, they drug test everybody, and then they try to blame me and my roommate. Mind you, they all were smoking. So then I got into a big fight with them. So one of the guys was your size, and we were actually in Shells. It was right before the next game, and he's like, y'all doing too much, whatever. Start talking shit. I was like, bro, you act like you weren't in there.
Right.
You were in the room with us. And he got pissed and he took his helmet off. I'm like, you took your fucking helmet off? I was like, I'm gonna piece you up. Because I'm already boxing at this time. And mind you, I have a martial arts background. So he rushed me, and as he rushed me, I kind of just like head snapped him down, and I got him into like a headlock, and I scooped him, and we fell, cracked my rib, but I started just like laying shots into him, and they kicked me off the field. And at that point, I'm like, everybody's against me, I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
I'm already not wanting to be there.
Yeah,
right. This is like an icing on the cake, like, all right, nail in the coffin type of deal. So I call up my parents, and they're already going through it. So I go, man, fuck this. The next day, I go to the office, I go, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. I gotta help my family. And he's like, wait a minute, what? He's like, when did this come up? I was like, it's just been going on for a while. Just keep it in, And he's like, was there anything I could do? I was like, not unless you can give me some money.
Right.
He's like, we can't do that. I'm like, all right, I'm out. And so it's like, at this point, I was like, I didn't want to quit, right? But I needed to pivot.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, so after that, I left. I finished. I was going for exercise science. I finished. Came back to Port St. Lucie, and was like, yo, what do I do? Because there's nothing there at that point. Back then in Port St. Lucie, it was like a dead zone. There was nothing out there. And there was a gym, and I was like, you know what? I still want to fight. I want to compete. Still want to do this. And at that time, I was still thinking about boxing. So Buddy McGirt had a gym in Vero, which is about an hour away.
Yeah.
I don't have a fucking car. I don't have no money. So I can't make it up there, and I want to do at least 2 times a day. That's my mentality. So I can't make it there. So I started researching, and I saw an American Top Team affiliate gym owned by Dean Thomas. And I know about ATT because I'm from here. And I used to box sometimes over there with Howard Davis Jr. So I was like, okay, cool, I know ATT, let me go over there and check it out. So as soon, it was crazy because he was opening up the gym when I pulled up, and I go, yo, I walk up behind him, and it's funny, you can see, I can see his face now. He's opened up the gym door, and I go, yo, and he looks behind me, he's like, mind you, this is a UFC veteran, right? Dean Thomas. And he looks over his shoulder. He's like, "What's up?" And I go, "Yo, I want to fight," just like that, right? And he's like, everybody asks him that. Right. Everybody says that. So he's like, opens the door. He's like, "Come in." He's like, "All right, man, fill this out. Come in tonight." So I came in the next day, or came in that night, trained, and then the next day, he was like, "Listen, you're gonna have to make it down to 155 pounds." And I started laughing at him.
You're what, 195? You said?
I was probably like 205 at that point.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, okay, I went back up because I started training again.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Bro, I've been at 155 pounds since middle school, literally." And he was like, "Bro, listen, you're gonna have to fight at 155 pounds. Like, you're gonna have to weigh in, and then you can, go to 175, but you're gonna have to go down there. These guys are big." And I was like, "All right, whatever." And he's like, "You gotta grapple too." And I go, "I don't fucking grapple. I want to box. I just want to throw my hands."
Yeah.
He's like, "Listen, just try it." The second day I came back, I did a grappling class. I submitted like 3 or 4 guys because it's just catch wrestling type stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, this is kind of cool. I could do this. So then the next day, kept going back, and then all of a sudden I go, I got a thing for this, and I'm nonstop with it. Now it's a new passion. It's not football anymore, but it gives me that edge. It gives me the competitive nature that I wanted, and it allowed me to find myself physically and mentally. Because a lot of times, if you don't have let's say you don't have the confidence, you go to a club, you go to a bar, you go to a party, usually the guys that end up fighting are somebody that they're not confident in themselves.
Yep. Right.
So they got to try to prove it to themselves by going after somebody.
Bingo.
And I found that my ego went out the window when I started training, fighting, like for real. Because it's like, why do I do that when I'm fighting every day in the gym?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So.
You have no need for it.
No.
Which is crazy too, because I wanted to really ask, I mean, from the story and from the perspective that I'm hearing it, it's like, it seems as if football for you was what you thought you wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And what we talk about on our podcast sometimes is like, when you transition from doing something that you think is like the best for you, or the thing that you think, is the bread and butter of what you want to do, and you get to the highest point and you achieve the things, like with me in football, like going to the NFL, I always wanted to play in the NFL. Like I always, all those same things that you were saying. And now in this new season of my life, like I'm trying to figure out the new things that I'm also passionate about. Mm-hmm. I guess, how would you go about explaining like the feeling? I know you kind of got into it a little bit, but like finding fighting, because it seems like from what I'm hearing, it's like football is what you thought you wanted to do, but you started to realize that you couldn't, one, keep up with it and also support your family, but 2, you kept coming back to fighting. Like fighting was like almost like that vice for you. So I guess kind of give me something on that, like, because that's really what I want to hit it on.
Well, I think that with fighting and football and these things that you do, it's what you do, but it's not really who you are, right? So you got to peel back the layers. And usually it comes down to self-reflection, self-awareness, and figuring out the type of person you are and the type of person you want to be known to be, right? So it's purpose, right? It's understanding the person you are as a whole, right? Not just like, okay, I'm a football player, this is what I'm played in the league, like that's me, that's what I'm going to be known for. No, because now if you do that, then there's nothing else after that, right? So it's like, I want to know who I am in and out. So whatever I do, whatever I pivot into or go into the next chapter of my life, I can take the skills that I've acquired, but the talent will always be there, because I'm talented not because I'm a football player. I became a football player because I'm talented. And I acquired these skills based off of the time that I spent in that particular aspect of my life. So it's cycles of your life that allows you to grow. You're in a cycle now where it's like you've already been through, there's several different cycles. You have where it's mimicry, right? Where you're just trying to find out who you are. So you go, oh, maybe I'll go over here. Maybe I'll do this. Then it's acceptance and basically understanding like, okay, this is what I'm good at, and this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And then you hone in on that. So it's commitment now. Now you're committed to the cause, whatever it is. But you got to think deeper, not like football player, fighter, coach. It's like, okay, I'm a coach, I'm a leader, I'm a motivator, I'm an inspirer. I can help people evolve.
Yeah.
Right? So you go deeper and you go, well, I'm a person that loves to give value to people and create opportunities. Okay, so how do I do that on the next chapter of my life?
Yeah.
But it's still the same. You're still doing something. You're just using a different steering wheel.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
So
Well, and that's what's crazy too, is because when we were talking about the podcast in general and like pivoting, like you kept saying, pivoting to something new. Like if we put in the same amount of effort that I remember putting in when I was 12, 15 years old to play football, if we put in that same amount of effort into anything.
Yep.
More times than not, you're gonna have that growth and the tangible results that everyone seeks out. But I think it's pretty crazy to hear the story, but then two, also see how you can be on this crazy path of life and then also be the type of person you want to be at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because what's fucking crazy about this whole story is like I never knew any of this, and just from the interactions me and you, like the three of us have had, like I obviously know like you're a rugged guy, like but I didn't know like to the extent, like and it's crazy, like you said, like once you peel that back on some people, they really